Good afternoon, my name is Liam Nield and this is the MU Review, the place where I talk all things Manchester United in the world of football. And today I'm here to talk about yesterday's heated Manchester derby at the Etihad Stadium. We ended 0-0, pretty much what I expected going into the game. Away from home against our top four rivals, Mourinho has tended to shut up shop this season. That being said, we have only really played Chelsea and Liverpool away from home before today, or before yesterday I should say. The Liverpool game was just like this one. We restricted them, ended up with the 0-0 draw. The Chelsea game plan went out the window within the first 60 seconds because we conceded a goal. So, I mean, it was really no surprise to see Mourinho and United approach the game this way. And for the most part, especially in the first half, it looked like it was working pretty well. I mean, we were containing them very well. Every player looked up for it. We weren't giving them an inch defensively, even though we were giving up a lot of possession. And we looked dangerous on the counter-attack, having Rashford and Martial playing up front together for the first time, I believe. Well, probably not the first time, but for the first time in a long while that I can remember. Obviously, Martial and Mkhitaryan and Rashford were all rotating in that front three, and you could definitely see a definitive game plan and a shape from the team. We missed Paul Pogba tremendously, but I'm not going to complain too much about that because I think Manchester City really missed David Silva as well. I think David Silva probably would have ripped us to shreds had he been on the pitch today, but I think we both missed key players, so this massive game, I mean, it's no secret both teams are in the same position we were last season, despite the fact that, you know, when we got our new managers, everybody sort of thought it was going to go back to the days of Ferguson and Mancini, and it was going to be Mourinho and Pep battling for the Premier League. It looks like they're doing exactly what LVG and Pellegrini were doing last season, which is trying to save face by scraping into the Champions League. Now, for City, this game probably carried more weight than it did for us, because we're hot on their heels. We're still only a point behind them after this match. We have the same number of games played. I think we've both got 5 games to go. We do have the tougher running, but we also have the backup option of the Europa League. Now, the way that Mourinho says it, it sounds like the Premier League is the backup option and the Europa League is the priority, which I agree with at this point in the season. But we definitely have to try and get both, and Mourinho is definitely out there to try and get both. Today, he was definitely conscious of the fact that avoiding defeat was really the priority, because staying within touching distance of Manchester City, it puts them on edge. It makes them nervous. So even though they're going to go into games against weaker opposition, I think they play Middlesbrough away next weekend. If we can put the pressure on them, if we beat Swansea on Sunday morning or on Sunday early afternoon in UK time, then by the time that City kick off, they'll already know that we're in 4th place and they are in 5th. And obviously that depends on us beating Swansea at home, which is never a guarantee. But putting that kind of pressure on a team when you need the points in the bag to really do that, it's going to be nerve-wracking for City, because they know that if they don't make top 4, there's no Champions League for them. We could finish 5th, 6th, 7th, and we could still get into the Champions League even ahead of the team that finishes 4th by winning the Europa League. You know, the team that finishes 4th has to go through a playoff. The team that wins the Europa League gets straight in. So that's definitely our priority at this stage of the season. The game plan clearly worked, but obviously towards the end and in the second half in general, the players started to tire. The game got very heated. I think Rashford was kicked all over the pitch today, and that was definitely a very strange tactic. I mean, not a strange tactic, just unusual to see that from Pep Guardiola. I don't know if that was his instruction or if it was maybe one of his coaches, or even if it was just Nicolas Otamendi and Kolarov, you know, by themselves. They all seem to want to have a go at Marcus Rashford, and rightfully so. That flick over Otamendi's head, if he managed to score from that, he'd have retired another Manchester City defender. That was absolutely absurd, and I was very happy to see his performance in the game. Martial was obviously taken off in the second half. I don't think Mourinho was happy with him. It's very curious, this saga that's going on between Mourinho and Martial. I don't for a second think that it's going to end with Martial leaving the club, but I do think that Mourinho is definitely trying to push for consistency, and Martial has been very inconsistent this season, so it's going to be interesting to see how he responds to being brought off early in the game. Claudio Bravo in the first half should have given us almost gift-wrapped a 1-0 with his absurdly acrobatic goalkeeping that almost did more harm than good. And Ander Herrera missed the chance of the game for us, really, with that header at the end of the first half. All he had to do was put it on target and back across goal, and Bravo's getting nowhere near it. It would have been a perfect time to score, and we'll never know what would have happened, but, you know, with a 1-0 lead to protect, you do sort of think that we might have held on. But Fellaini's red card obviously is a big hot topic. Now, here's my opinion on it. It was a red card. It was stupid. It was naive by Marouane Fellaini. He played very well up until that point. I think everybody should point out. As a stand-in for Paul Pogba, he did extremely well. He was very physical, winning a lot of aerial battles. But to go and make a tackle like he did seconds after getting a booking is just stupid. It's naive, and Mourinho's going to be very upset with him for it. Now, that being said, Aguero sold it, and no Man City fan can deny that Aguero sold it. I'm not going to sit here and say that if the shoe was on the other foot, I wouldn't be happy for my player to sell it, but the facts are the facts. Mario and Fellaini deserve to be sent off, but Sergio Aguero should be a little bit ashamed of the theatrics, because I don't think he needed to go down the way he did to get Mario and Fellaini sent off. I think the ref was already going to book him again, maybe just for the foul itself, and then with the headbutt and all that getting involved as well, he really just signed himself away. And obviously at that point, any hope of us getting something out of the game in terms of winning it were gone. We were 10 men behind the ball after that, and you can criticise us all you want. When you're down to 10 men away at Man City and you've been under the cosh for most of the second half, you're going to park the bus. I don't care who you are. And we held on. We survived it. We had an awful scare when Gabriel Jesus returned from the dead and looked like he'd won the game for City in stoppage time. Luckily, the flag went up on the near side, and I remember it very vividly. I'm not going to deny that I was effing and ahhing as soon as that ball went into the back of the net, and as soon as I heard the commentator say the flag was up on the near side, I gave it everything. I was screaming at the TV. I was saying lots of things that I probably shouldn't have been saying, but let's just say I was pleased. To be honest, United fans everywhere probably celebrated that offside flag as if it was a goal for us. It was that important, because losing a game like that, especially after Fellaini getting sent off, and going 4 points behind City, it would have just been such a huge blow to our season. So I'm so glad that we got out of there with a point. Obviously, it sounds like a very defeatist attitude. I mean, had we played better in the second half, I would have probably been more disappointed that we only drew. But considering the fact that in the second half City were the better side and we did have to hang on, we had some great defensive performances. Eric Bayer, I can't stop singing his praises. He's a fantastic player. Daley Blind was great at centre half, even though he hasn't been playing there that much this season. So all in all, a solid result, a good performance. And given the fact that we've had two of the most difficult away games in the league this season, away at the Etihad and away at Turf Moor in the last 2 weeks, and you can say what you want, but going away to Turf Moor has proven to be one of the toughest away games of the season. If you told me we were going to get 4 points from those two games, I would have taken it, and that's exactly what we've gotten. And now we've got what in theory should be a home banker against Swansea, a Swansea team that look like they're going down. They look like they should go down. They haven't been very good. They've got a couple of good players in Sigurdsson and Llorente who could cause us problems. But if we defend the way we've been defending these last few weeks, even despite all of the injuries we've had, I find it very difficult to see Swansea scoring off of anything that's not a set play. Now, that being said, when you've got Gylfi Sigurdsson and Fernando Llorente in your team, scoring off a set play is definitely something that you're going to run the risk of. So really the big message from Mourinho has got to be attack, attack, attack on Sunday. It's a quick turnaround. The players are going to be tired. We've obviously got one eye on that Europa League semi-final in Spain. Just 5 days after that, it's a very awkwardly timed game. And with Swansea fighting for their lives in the league, it's not as easy as it looks. So I'll take anything in that game. I'll take 1-0. I'll take 2-1. I'll take an offside handball goal. I don't care. We need 3 points on Sunday, because if we get those 3 points, we put the pressure on City, who have to go and play away at one of Swansea's relegation rivals, Middlesbrough. So they'll be well up for it. And you never know. I mean, at this point, we're 3 points behind Liverpool with 2 games in hand, or I believe only with 2 points behind Liverpool with 1 game in hand now, which means that if we win that game in hand, which albeit isn't until the very last week of the season, we will be in the top 4. So it's in our own hands still for us to make the top 4 this season, but we've got to get those wins on the board. And with big fixtures against Arsenal and Spurs coming up, we can't afford to drop any more stupid points at Old Trafford. My man of the match was Eric Bailly. He was an absolute machine today. Fast growing into one of my favourite Manchester United players. He puts his body on the line, and he's one of the most natural defenders I've seen in a Man United shirt, and he might be the best centre-back we've had since Vidic and Ferdinand retired. So he gets my man of the match today. Thank you for watching the video. Like if you've enjoyed it. Comment if you've got anything to say about Man United or anything else about the game, about life in general. Comment. I'll be very responsive, I promise. And then subscribe if you haven't already. Make my day, and you'll get to see more videos like this if you're into this kind of thing. So thank you for watching. See you next time.